This woman went from being my coworker in the psych ward that I used to work at to being a patient that I had to take care of. Now, let me just start by telling you, this nurse was not nice. I'm a pretty agreeable person. I can work with most people, but she was somebody that I dreaded working with. Why, you might ask? Because she was not nice to patients at all. Like, you got some workers that just don't like their job, that might be a little short with patients, but she was mean, vindictive, spiteful. And I never exactly knew why. She didn't have the physical capacity to defend herself. So a lot of times when she would antagonize patients and then run into the med room, we'd be stuck to deal with the patient's violent outburst, often leading to somebody getting hurt or the patient being unnecessarily medicated as she's on the phone with the doctor asking for something to be drawn up for something that she antagonized. And nobody would put her in check at all. That's something I didn't understand. Now, that was like my first year working in psych. So I was assessing my bearings. I was making decent money at the time for me being 19 years old. So I wasn't trying to ruffle any feathers like that. And I didn't see anybody above me doing anything. So I'm like, whatever, I guess this is just the culture of the workplace. But after watching her for a while, I'm like, yo, this woman is a coward for real. She would come onto the unit and be asking who's being violent, who's upset today. Like, girl, you looking for trouble. And she always seemed to avoid the physical consequences of a patient coming at her, except like that one time where a patient actually did and she had to miss some. That's a whole nother story. If y'all want to hear that, y'all can let me know. But let me go and get to the part that y'all here for, how she ended up being a patient. Now, this is the first psych facility that I worked at when I worked with her. And after a couple of years, I was tired of how things were running there and I decided to move right on along to another ward. And the next ward was a little better, but same shit, different diaper. One day I come into work and I see my old coworker who was the nurse. Now, when I worked at the other ward, I didn't have no hair. I had short hair, if you can imagine, but my hair was a little bit longer, not as long as it is now, but I had locks. So, I looked a little different. And I saw the nurse on the floor, but she had on regular clothes. And I'm thinking like, oh, she must be here to visit somebody. But then it clicked that it wasn't a visiting day. Then I looked down at her feet and saw she had on the grippy socks. I was like, oh. I was, for one, not prepared for that type of awkwardness. I'm like, yo, is this woman going to recognize me? And I just ripped the Band-Aid off. I'm just walking into work. I'm like, I'm not even going to say nothing. Well, clearly not going to say anything. That's not something that you're allowed to do. Hey, I know you and where you used to. Like, that's such a violation. But if she were to acknowledge me in that way, like, hey, then it would be completely fine. But I wasn't trying to ruffle no feathers. I was just, living my life. We crossed paths. I look at her and she looks at me and I look at her and she don't recognize me. And I think it was the hair. And I'm like, whew, you know how when you look at somebody and you can tell they kind of get that light, that spark, that knowingness in their eyes. But then as I look a little deeper, I'm like, oh, she ain't all the way there. Turns out shorty, who was a med nurse, became addicted to pills. She had got divorced, her daughter left for college, and I guess the pills replaced the people. It was a very sad state of affairs. Up until that point, I haven't seen anything like that. And all I could think as I looked at her, saw her going to groups, saw her going to her room, I'm like, yo, you used to be a person that antagonized patients, that were mean and looked down upon people and took advantage of opportunities to use your power over them. And now, in your current existence, you're a patient. Y'all better be careful how y'all treat people out here. Y'all better be careful of the energy y'all putting out in this world because you never know when them tables gonna turn like a DJ and he might not be playing your song.